20-something programs throughout this week.
Oof.
And still have 4 or 5 left to do tonight.
That's a lot. I guess that makes sense because the meet just happened. So
it was like the perfect. It happens a time or two a year, but it's
perfect storm.
Perfect storm. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody finished their program out at once.
Yep. And when you have, 10 of 50 people participate in a single event, you're going to have a lot of programs drop.
Yep.
So
you're just kind of getting your ass handed to you as of today.
Yep. And I have a vacation coming up this week. So that means, ideally, I'd like to have all of them done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I had like 10 people compete in this that have to be written for. And then I have, another 5 to 10 that complete their program this week that have to be written for.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the noobs who have to be written for. So, and I like to get paid. So,
right. Got to kind of get that
online
shit
programming,
done.
if it don't get done, I don't get paid. So
That's true.
In person, we can, if we have to, we can wing it for a couple weeks, but it can't happen with online. So
yeah, for sure.
And I refuse to be the coach that has somebody waiting at 5 p.m. on a Monday for their new block. I don't want to be that guy ever. So.
Joe scared me a couple times with that. Like it was super like he would get it done like noon on a Monday or something. I'd be like, I'm about to go to the gym. Like, do you have my program? And he was like, yeah, I'm updating it now, or he's working on it or just about to finish it or whatever. I'm like, okay.
I'm not an 11th hour guy, and that's the reason why I program so many weeks out. And if we need to make adjustments on the fly, we make adjustments on the fly. But boy, I don't know how some of these bigger dudes do it with the weekly programming.
You know what? That camera.
Yeah, it chopped my head off a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, there we go.
It's not sitting where it needs to because we're kind of temporarily putting it there for today.
Temporarily.
Yeah, I don't have it on the stand today. I didn't take the time to fix it. That thing over there is crap. But
how's sobriety for you?
Fine, I guess. I drank a couple of times since the last podcast. One time was like a really shitty day, and I was just like, you know what? I'm making a drink. And then there was one day where I was like, I can't fall asleep, and I really need to be in bed. And I just like, I'm just gonna take like a small drink or something. But for the most part, I've been away from it, and it hasn't really affected me at all.
I have a lot of personal stuff going on between Alpha shutting down and everything else, so the decision to quit drinking has been a trying one, but I've done well. Yeah. And I had to restart 75 hard, for some bullshit, but, still didn't drink in that hiatus, the 2 days I took. I'm like 20 something days in with no alcohol, I think. So
that's good.
That's pretty good. Not really a brag. But it's been a little harder this time around, I think, just because, mentally, stuff.
Yeah. So. And then with the podcast, it's like something we do regularly. So taking it away is kind of like throwing a kink in things a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Even on, times in my life I'm not drinking a lot, I look forward to my Saturday night drinks here. So, a little weird.
Yeah.
Sipping on peanut butter protein shakes.
Yeah.
Our sobriety is sponsored.
Yeah. I
guess both the podcast and our sobriety is sponsored.
We can go ahead and get into the.
Yeah, so it's a sip it and rip it show.
Oh my God, we've been away for 2 weeks.
And I can't even say sip it and rip it. And we're sober. Most of the time we're not. Yeah, it's a sip it and rip it show. Oh my God. It's the sip it and rip it show.
Do I need to take it?
No, okay. It's the sip it and rip it show.
It's a podcast.
I mean,
it's a sip and rip it podcast, bro.
Podcast show.
I've been laughing this whole time because you've been saying show.
It's a sip and rip it podcast. You can follow us at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skedios, at Sip It and Rip It. Listen to us on Spotify podcast, Apple podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to have a YouTube episode, it looks like this time. We have the camera rolling.
The camera is rolling, but it could die at any moment.
Leave us likes, comments, dislikes, rate us 5 stars. Any traffic is good traffic for us. And
share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends. Don't be a hoe. Share the show.
First Form is looking for athletes to sponsor.
I don't think they're going to sponsor me.
As much as you quote Andy Frisella, though, you might could get him to sponsor the podcast.
I mean, I think the only time I quote him is "Don't be a hoe, share the show."
Fair.
But it is what it is. And for the first time ever, the Sip It and Rip It podcast is sponsored by Scooter's Coffee and one Richard Neese. Him and his wife own Scooter's franchises around the area in Decatur and Coleman. We were drinking their protein shakes, peanut butter power. There. Highly recommend. We had a cinnamon roll.
I will say this. The first taste I had of this, I was kind of like, I know Zach's been talking it up. I don't think it's going to be that good. Like, I was genuinely like, I'm setting the bar low. Not because I don't trust you, but because I'm just like...
It's also a protein shake.
It's a protein shake, right? It's really good.
It's
really good.
It's
so
really good.
Definitely hit them up and drink
That's
one.
an honest review, too. And I can promise you, Richard's been a peer of mine and a colleague of mine for a long time. He wants us to be honest about these things. It's a really good freaking drink.
Yeah. Especially like you said, if you get the double protein, like the macros are actually pretty decent.
They are. They're pretty decent.
If you don't get the double protein, it is a little high in fat, but... It's kind of like one of those things where if you want like a sweet treat and you want to stay, like if you want to keep your protein up and you're not super concerned about the fat.
Yeah, it's a milkshake.
It's like a milkshake.
It would scratch the milkshake itch, no problem. Like it's really good. So highly suggest it. We have some Decatur listeners. They have a location up there off of 31, and the one in Coleman is also off of 31. But go see them.
The cinnamon roll was good too.
Cinnamon roll is really good. Yep.
The inside was like top notch. Like everybody knows the inside is the best side of the cinnamon roll, right? But like I was like, damn, I can't stop eating this. That's not going to be good on your macros, but if you just want one.
The cinnamon roll does not come as a recommendation for dietary purposes.
It comes as a recommendation for you joy. Just fucking want one.
Yeah, absolutely. So both the show and our sobriety is now sponsored by Scooters, at least here in the meantime, while we're clean living.
Yep. At least for the next...
That does not apply to PEDs.
Yeah.
Our liver is still taking damage. Let's be...
We got milk thistle. It's fine. Liver support. Like, we're good, man.
Yeah,
we're
good.
We take our blood work and our health seriously, man. We got all the ancillary stuff going on.
I take... this is a shameless plug. Revive MD's kidney and liver support.
Yeah.
Good shit.
I probably need to get on that, honestly. Well, I mean, I say that, but I take so many other supplements, and my blood work is always good. I'm probably okay, honestly.
I started the nattokinase or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
I think that's how you say it, nattokinase.
Nattokinase. We don't know. I don't know.
I actually looked it up on Google because I wanted to know if I was pronouncing it right.
Nattokinase?
I'm pretty sure I would say it was nattokinase.
Anyway, that helps with blood thickness, so...
Yeah.
Get on that.
If you need your hemocrit levels low, I did notice an impact on it. It was a minor impact just by taking it for a few days before I had my most recent blood test done. It wasn't a true CBC, but it was just testing for my issues with my blood being too thick. It did come down. My hemocrit came down like 0.7. Which is not like huge.
We tell our lifters all the time, better is better.
Better is better. So, I need a couple points to be in the normal
0.7
range.
is a pretty good chunk of a couple of points, to be fair. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's the intro of the show.
That's the intro of the show.
Drink Scooter's coffee.
Yep. That is what we were drinking today too. We don't even have to go into it. It's peanut butter, milk, and ice cream and protein powder, right?
Yep. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what it tastes like.
That's what it tastes like to me.
Delicious.
Wonderful. Yep. So I guess we can just go straight to PR.
Yeah, I mean, they may want to know the macros. Without the extra protein powder, it's 68 carbs, 24 fat, 34 protein. So get that extra scoop of protein and, you got 50 some odd grams. So.
Yep. Good stuff. 50 grams of protein out of a drink is not bad.
Not
bad at all. You're basically, I mean, it's kind of like taking 2 scoops of protein, but you're getting that that ice cream.
If you're cutting, it would probably want to be a meal replacement, to be honest with
Right.
you, if you're in a calorie deficit.
But also, like, if you're one of those people that's like very high, we'll just call it very high functioning, and you're like always on the go, probably really good in the morning to get your protein, carbs.
It's been a breakfast staple for me if I haven't had time for breakfast. So
yeah, it makes tons of sense.
Yep. You know PR songs?
I do. I have a ton, actually, but I'm gonna stick with the two. And the first one I'm gonna put is "The Shape of Hate" by Aborted.
Oh, I love Aborted so much.
That whole the whole Vault of Hate album is incredible. It is super good. I think it was released this year. Man, there's a solo in "The Shape of Hate" that is so goddamn good. It is so good. You just have to listen to it. It's man.
Well, they're not super new. They've probably been around 20 years now, but are they the newest sounding death metal band that still reminds you of
like classic death metal,
like Cannibal Corpse and shit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like it's like deathcore tones and production quality with like old school death metal vibes.
There is another band, and I wish I could remember their name right now. I think it also starts with an A. That is very good. That is also like an old school death metal sound with a newer production.
I love Aborted,
but Aborted is very, very good.
I guess that puts it on me, doesn't it?
Unless you need me to go.
I mentioned this band before, but it wasn't a song. Guess some Native American made black metal.
All right.
It's really, really cool. They actually have like some, I'm sure it samples, but some traditional Native American like vibes and music and stuff in it. But very, very good. It's a band called Black Braid, and they have a new single called Warriors, and it's truly pretty freaking incredible band. Really picky about black metal. Tonality of it's kind of sharp and weird, and I don't know. I'm really picky about black metal bands, but they're really, really good. They do kind of remind me of Behemoth, like better black metal stuff. And I guess it's because it's Native American black metal, but it sounds very much like American black metal, like the Black Dahlia Murder or something like that. You know? Good music without the fucking dumb paint.
I mean, I like corpse paint. I actually, funny enough, I was talking to Desi.
Behemoth is the limit on the corpse paint for me.
I kind of wondered if they would let me do corpse paint at nationals, because I'd like that'd be kind of cool. I'd be like the only guy there with corpse paint. Everybody would be talking about it. Huh?
Jawan's done something similar before.
Oh, really? Has he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But if they'd let me do it, I'd probably see if I could get somebody. Only thing I'd be against is like anything that's directly anti-religious, like crosses and stuff like that. I'd be like, let's not do that. But like, you know, black eyes, just like some quote unquote blood dripping down, stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool.
You've played too much God of War.
I thought about that too. I thought about like just having the red stripe, because I'm super white anyway.
Here's the deal. I actually kind of listen. The expectations for all my lifters is to go and win. And Nathan and Austin both have as good a shot as anybody to go and win any fucking thing. I would be more supportive of that if we knew you were just going to fucking destroy
everything. Yeah. I mean, we know there's somebody with a 1,900 pound total going in the 242 class. So unless they miss weight.
Yeah. So, I mean, like if it's just going to be a clean sweep, everybody's going to eat shit. Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be fun regardless.
It probably would be. Anyway, it's on you for another PR song.
All right. So this one, I swear, it's been getting me through some workouts. And I've been putting it on repeat basically all week. But it's Taking It All by Stevie Stone and Def Rebel. It's Solo Sikoa's theme song from WWE. It's a, man, I don't know. You just have to listen to it. It's really, really fucking good.
I believe you. I thought I was a nerd until I met Nathan.
I'm a big nerd.
We've covered corpse paint and WWE theme songs.
Oh man,
in a very, very short span.
Listen, I also have. I don't know if you even know who they are. I also have Crush 40 on my PR song.
I don't know.
You ever play any of the early 2000s Sonic the Hedgehog games?
I don't think I did.
They were the band that played in most of they did all the theme songs and most of the music for them. Well, and it's very much like, what's the best word? It's very much like, I want to call it butt rock, but it's not. It's not quite butt rock. It's a little better than butt rock, but not by much.
Is it like MAGA metal?
I don't know. Like if you're talking like. Are you talking like Alter Bridge?
Yeah, like Five Finger Death Punch, shit like that. Disturbed.
It's not that aggressive.
It ain't that aggressive.
It's not that aggressive.
So it may be a little butt rocky.
It's a little butt rocky.
Well, I put the Black Braid tune on there. I wasn't super prepared for this, but they released it. It's only like a minute and a half long. I love it. The new Kublai Khan. First track on the new full length that hasn't released yet. Supreme Ruler. Yep. It's fucking good. Every time I hear it, I want to run through a wall. It's one of those songs that makes me wish I wasn't in the off season because I could just fuck something up for that song. I really could. Man, dude's just, there's always been just like, I'm very much music for music's sake, but there's always been a couple of vocalists that just like transcend that for me. And Vincent Bennett from the Acacia Strain's always been one. Yeah. Matt Honeycutt from Kublai Khan's definitely one too, man. He fucking makes it for sure. And then, I did send you all the Alex the Terrible stuff.
Yeah, his recent covers. Yeah, they're impressive. When he hit those highs on that Lorna Shore song, I was like, damn.
Didn't know he could do it.
I did not. I genuinely, it wasn't the thing that was like, I didn't think he could. I just didn't know. Like, I've never heard him do them before. And when he hit them, I was like, God damn, why doesn't he do this in a Slaughter to Prevail? Like, but
Slaughter to Prevail has very like, beat down. Like,
it's true.
It's pretty boneheaded for deathcore, to be completely honest with you.
It is, but it's fun.
And I love him as a person. His translation to his English lyrics are rough.
Yeah, they are.
They're pretty rough.
He's trying really, really hard
to make it sound really tough,
but to
the point that it's like kind of bad.
Yeah, it's a little corny. Mm-hmm. But some people would say Cannibal Corpse lyrics are really corny too.
Yeah, they are, but they are correct,
right?
American English, right? So it is what it is, but. No shot at Alex for that. I mean, he is.
No, I mean, I couldn't.
He does know 2 languages. So
I was going to say, I couldn't speak
That probably
Russian.
means he's smarter than most of us. So.
Right.
Just saying.
So, Jim, the past, I guess, like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Take it away because you're in the middle of my bullshit right now.
The biggest highlights was 635 for 3 on deadlift. Moved pretty good. Or no, that was. I did a single. I did a 635 single. I said I wasn't going to do a triple. Yeah. It moved really quickly. I was really happy about it. Bench press, I hit 405 for 3. Paused. Moved really well. No complaints. Squats.
Surprisingly great squat day. I shouldn't say surprisingly because I feel like we've got it worked out. But
this past week, I know I hit 445 for a set of 3. I don't remember what I did the week prior. I know it was singles. It was 485. I think I did 495 for the last single.
Yeah.
All of them moved pretty well. Nothing really to complain about. Just kind of like, for me, it's just kind of like whiplash of, God, I should be so much further ahead than I am.
Sure.
But
I think if we look back, you're probably on pace to at least match or do a little better.
Yeah. We got 515 for singles coming up, which is what about maybe 6 weeks out I was doing with Joe. I know I hit 545 in prep with Joe.
Yeah.
And then I hit 562 in comp. So it's weird. Got a phone call from someone who never calls me, but anyway, what was I saying? 495 for singles.
Yep.
We're shooting for 515 this coming week.
Sure.
So we'll see how that goes. If that goes well I think I got up to 4 singles. If that goes well, then we'll be in good shape, I feel like. And then after that, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, I missed one. I hit 205 for 8 on overhead press, which, for just picking it up for like the past
it's pretty good.
7 weeks, I think. And I hadn't really been progressing them too terribly much. I hit 185 for 8 a couple times. Then I just decided to throw 205 on there, hit it for 8. And then the following set, I was like, let's see if I can hit 225. And I hit 225 for like 3 or 4. I don't remember how many, but it was rough. Like,
well, that 2-plate marker on shoulder press is getting pretty fucking serious.
Yeah.
It's
and honestly, it was because, I went straight from, I hit 185, 205, and then 225.
Yeah.
So I was already just like gas. So I had nothing left in the tank for that 225. So theoretically, if I work up to it, I'd probably be okay.
Fair. So is that it on yours?
Yeah. That's pretty much the gist
recap
of it.
Mine. New split. And here's pretty much the long and short of mine. Being on 75 hard, I was having a hard time recovering. 7 days a week in the gym is a lot. And then on top of the fact that I'm doing 45 minutes of steady state cardio every day, is also a lot. So I have reduced my split down to 4 or 5 exercises a day. Basically getting on them and kind of set like small like total rep goals, if that makes sense, on everything. Looking between like 350 to 500 reps a session. So I'm basically just picking, it's 5 exercises on upper body, 4 on lower body. And I'm just kind of staying in the pump. So I'm going to start squatting until I really can't anymore, or, I feel like I got enough blood in my legs to move on. And I'm moving on, carrying on with front squats, stuff like that. I'm still abysmal at them. That being said, the strap trick I posted about, I've already got a full Olympic front rack back after, just a few weeks of using straps. So that does work if you want to improve your mobility and get a better front rack for front squats. I prefer that Olympic front rack to the arms crossing just because I feel like I have more control. Things go less bad if you get a little lean forward if you have a front rack versus you don't really want to catch it in the crease of your arms. If you get bent over on an arms cross front squat. So those are going really, really well. Deadlifting, I'm still largely kind of staying away from because of the bicep strain. Let's see what else I got here. Camber bar on bench press. Man, that's a super deep press.
Yep. Have to be very cautious on the descent.
Pyramiding up on that. Best I've got so far is 315 for a single. And I'll tell you, I have 315 generally pretty easily for 10 to 15 reps, and to only be able to hit it for a single on something is pretty humbling. Yeah. So it is what it is, but it's been very, very effective. And then I've got some just oddball weird stuff I don't ever get to do. Plate loaded decline, dumbbell bench press, stuff that I don't ever do. Back doing barbell good mornings. SSB squats have stayed in. Just a bunch of fun off-season stuff to just keep me interested while I'm doing the 75 days of hell. So not a whole lot to recap because I haven't done anything cool. So
right. That's fair though. Like that's a different type of goal setting.
It is. Trying to build up my arms. I had a problem since I've hurt this. You can probably actually see. Listeners can't, but I've lost about an inch in my left bicep from atrophy from hurting it. So got a lot of single arm stuff.
I can notice it if I'm staring directly at it. Yeah.
Yep. To the point that my left arm doesn't even fill out a shirt anymore, and that's pretty odd for me.
Yeah.
But just doing a bunch of single arm stuff, unilateral work, trying to get my arms to come back up a little bit. It hasn't affected my press, but it affects all my back stuff and deadlifts and stuff like that pretty bad. So pretty humbling to do. I did Zotman curls today, and I had to do them with like 10s. So
right.
pretty that's about a fifth of what I normally would do that with. So that's pretty crappy experience, but trying really, really hard to not completely tear this bicep off the fucking bone. So,
right.
Tear a bicep, you're probably not pressing, you're probably not squatting under a barbell.
Mm-hmm.
Are going to be SSB squats, and rehab is probably the only thing you're doing for 10 to 12 weeks. So don't want to play that game.
Nope, I wouldn't either.
Well, that's the reason I didn't participate in my meet, which is the topic of discussion tonight. I was originally supposed to. Really, strength was trending really, really well for me. Bench press, not so much. I still think I could have gone 400 plus on the platform, but probably wasn't setting a PR.
Right.
I'd say that. Deadlift, better than I've ever been deadlifting. Can't do it with bicep strain, man. Can't do it. Squats, I definitely could have set a PR on. But for the sake of self-preservation, I withdrew from it and ended up with 16 lifters total. One that did not participate in the competition, just wanted to come squat with us, and Taylor Keaton. Extremely strong. Missed 700 in reps, got 660. But a really awesome dude. Was happy to get to meet him. And then tons of young local talent that was doing this for the first time, and all of them showed out and did pretty well. So
I had a lot of fun. I was in the judging seat, head on squat and then sides the rest of the day. It was interesting to see the mix of like the people I had never seen before and some of the people that I had, and kind of like the technical cues that a lot of the people that I wasn't expecting to do well did well, and some people I was expecting to do really well did not do well, which was surprising to me. But you know, that just goes to show you can't kind of just come in and think, yeah, it's no big deal, right? Like,
I mean, we had and he knows this. We had a veteran lifter in Austin who, he did win the money. So for all intents and purposes, he really just thought he was going to win the money, and he ultimately did. But I mean, he was a time where he was about to scratch his bench presses. I mean, he was about to, he was about to bomb out of his home meet. On bench press, and ended up recovering and did fine the rest of the way. But that just goes to show you that.
Real quick, just on that, I do want to say for anybody competing, when you unrack, if you sink your bench press to set up your shoulders, you need to let your judges know beforehand, because you will get red lighted.
And that's what happened to Austin.
On his opener. His
second attempt, he set up too far back. And did he just outright miss it? I forget.
Yeah, he just missed it, yeah.
And then ended up coming back and he smoked it on the third one. It wasn't a problem, but just a little bit of miscues. But for anybody on the fence about participating, if you're new especially, I had a brand new lifter in Evan Huey who, by all means, he's not rooting for harm against Austin or for Austin to bail. That's not the way you want to beat somebody. But if Austin misses his last bench press, he's DQ'd from the meet, and Evan wins $750. So we're talking about, like, if we knew who was going to win, we wouldn't have the meet.
Right.
Like, the strongest people don't always win. Like, bad things happen. You know what I mean? Like, heaven forbid an injury. We never ever want that for anybody.
But you never, like we said,
injuries, miscues on
miscommands, or just like not communicating with your judges on things that are going to happen, like especially not just sinking your shoulders, but sinking into your chest. You need to make sure to let your judges know that too.
Yeah. So I mean, there was a lot of technical issues, but like I said, a lot of first time lifters too. And I'll be honest with you, I had 10 of the people participating were clients of mine. They didn't have a handler because I was busy expediting and doing meet director things. So no way to handle them. I'm not calling attempts for them. Not really around to cue them in or out of things. They knew that going in, like that I wasn't going to be in the same capacity. I wasn't going to be serving as coach and handler. Right. They were going to be on their own. But that kind of goes to show the importance of a coach or a handler or both.
Right.
pays to have somebody else's eyes on it
Mm-hmm.
to tell you what's going on. And I can't tell you how many of my own lifters I had to be like, I don't know what happened because I was,
preoccupied
with other things, you know what I mean? So, really, really important to have a handler or coach there that day.
Or like,
both
even if you just got a buddy, just to watch and kind of like communicate some things, that can help too.
Yeah, absolutely. But great participation. Like I said, had 15 in total that competed. Andrea Armstrong, local legend, had like 586 dots or something at our meet.
It was high. It was high fives.
I forget all of her numbers. She
had like a 1,400 total, I think.
A 1,200.
1,200
even.
Sorry,
yeah.
1,200.
I think she squatted 465, benched 295, and deadlifted 440. Missed 455. I know she missed her last deadlift. Just an incredible day.
Mm-hmm.
At 141 pounds.
Yep.
So she was an absolute badass. She won the women's $750 to her and then $750 to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So good day, good participation. Had a lot of people there watching. Kind of some behind the scenes crazy shit that happened. I had a lifter. If I had known this, he wouldn't have gone for his third attempt, but I had a lifter dislocate his shoulder on his second bench press attempt, have the EMTs pop it back in for him, and then proceeded. It didn't count on the platform because he ended up getting red lighted for an uneven lockout. But then,
no, it was because he racked it early.
Did he rack it early? Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever it was, he gets under his third attempt, presses 405 fine on a previously dislocated shoulder, and then racks it early to miss the lift.
Yep.
It was kind of nuts, but I feel like I need a giant balls award for for the lifter with the biggest nuts,
right.
Because I think Chris proved that he had the biggest nuts there. He also knew that he couldn't come tell me about it because I would have told him to pack up and go home.
Yeah.
And don't hurt himself. You know what I mean? But he stayed in it, and it ultimately ended up having a pretty good day for him. He pulled 550, missed 610. He called up a huge number for his third attempt. But honestly, he wasn't too far off. I mean, he got it up above his knee and, wanted to stay in it. He knew it wouldn't count by that point, wanted to stay in it to just prove that he could lift it, and ultimately decided to drop it. But dude had big old nuts, that's all I got to say, because I don't know that I'm getting under a PR bench press after a dislocated shoulder.
I'm not. Not even close.
So...
I mean, maybe
kids
for
don't
nationals,
try that at home.
maybe for nationals or something big, but like,
don't do that, y'all.
Yeah, don't do dumb things.
It means a lot to him, and I don't blame him for not wanting to tell me from an athletic standpoint. But at the same time, your coach cannot protect you from what they do not know. So you might want to let your coach know how you're feeling, and not just let the EMT know.
Right.
But yeah, dislocated his shoulder and had to have it popped in. People will do some crazy shit for some money, dude.
Right.
Or some pride.
Or pride,
you know what I mean? It is what it is. Take a shot. Kidding.
We don't have any alcohol. I can drink some peanut butter. Some Scooters coffee, peanut butter, protein power.
Thanks, Scooters.
Thanks, Scooters.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good night. Lots of spectators. Lots of tamales sold and eaten.
I had two. I ate them in about 2 minutes.
Yep.
I was literally like, I think it was after squats. I was like, dude, I got to eat. I'm starving. I had no cash.
I walked in and saw you with a plate. And then the next time I saw you, you didn't have a plate anymore. I was like, have you already ate? And he's like, yep. I was like,
I literally,
they must have been good.
Them. It wasn't even the fact that I didn't even taste them. I was literally just shoving them in my mouth.
Just sustenance.
I was literally swallowing just as fast as I could because I was so hungry. I'd literally eaten one time all day.
That lady needs to charge more for those. $5 is too cheap for a homemade tamale.
Is it? I don't know what.
For a pair of them.
I don't know.
Yeah. But
she
could have sold them for $10 a plate all day.
I think I know her, but I'm not entirely sure. I think she worked at Cracker Barrel.
She might have.
Because she looked very familiar to me.
She does all of our meats. So if you want homemade tamales, come hang out at our meats.
The sauce was really good too.
I didn't get to have them, unfortunately. I was
you didn't?
too busy. So
That's
I didn't eat lunch, and then didn't get to eat dinner until like 10. So
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Pretty long night. But I mean, it was successful, and I think that these money meets are good for the community. I don't know that everybody would agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the most fair way for us to, honestly, I think it's the most fair way for us to give back to the powerlifting community, is we pay so much money for a $2 medal and a slap on the ass.
Yeah.
And for just to say that it's sanctioned, or just to say that we broke a record, but we hardly ever have any monetary thing given back to us. $750 is not a small amount of money.
No, it's
a good payday.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're probably going to get into is maybe we'll leave some open-ended questions for you guys, and you can tell us how you feel about it. But is this something I know this is something I'm going to do more of, but what do you think? I mean, is it good for the powerlifting community? Is it, and how can we do it better? What's going to be some improvements that we can make on this thing? Right away, I can tell you lifting cast.
Right. Lifting cast. Did you run lifting cast last time?
No, I did not.
Okay.
We did. We made our own spreadsheet with a dots calculator in it.
Okay.
And that's how we ran everything this time. So,
lifting cast would be easy. It also helps with signups because they can sign up through lifting cast. As far as the meet itself, I felt like everything ran pretty smoothly. I think the biggest thing we need to get a hold of is like the warm-ups and the timing of it. That's the struggle we're having.
Some of that's lack of resources and space.
That being said, we not necessarily need to rush people along, but people need to move with a sense of urgency when they're warming up to kind of like, and I think if we have a stricter, like we're starting at this time, that's going to get that sense of urgency. So I think that would help. It would help expedite things a little.
I think I'm going to do a warm up schedule too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're squatting between 225 and 450, you warm up over here, and if you're squatting 450 plus, you warm up.
Yeah.
Over here. Because that was the traffic jam.
Yeah.
You had 4 girls warming up together and
like 10 guys.
10 guys warming up together. Yeah, and that was hard. There's no way to ask the guys to warm up fast when they're sharing equipment and, everything else. So,
and the girls were done in like a few minutes. Like they were like, do we need to just hang out and wait? Like I was over there with Desi a lot of the times when she was warming up, and I was like, you don't need to get warmed up too early. So I feel like doing it by weight is going to make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So that's definitely improvement we can make next time. I didn't really see a whole lot that made me just go, man, this needs to be fixed. Like, I feel like most people would agree. The biggest things were like the warm up times and the start times were kind of like fidgety.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like, I feel like everything ran pretty smooth. We
did everything, what, 3 hours?
We started at 5. We ended at like 9. So about 4 hours.
Yeah. 15 single flight, 15 lifters.
It's not bad.
It wasn't a bad knot, no.
I do think we could have gotten it done in 3 hours.
I think we probably could have too. I think that warm-up schedule is probably the biggest.
Yep. I think that's going to be the biggest help for us as far as timing goes. Everything else, like, and obviously depending on like how many people show up, stuff like that, you may have to change the start time, to accommodate for how many lifters. Obviously we could afford more spotters and loaders. Hard
to do on a volunteer basis. I think honestly, moving forward, those people need to be paid.
I was going to say it may be, whether it's paying them a little bit out of the pot, giving them some lunch, like something, free t-shirts, like something for volunteering to kind of like, hey, because you're volunteering, you do get something out of it. Yeah. That would help out a little bit, I think. It doesn't necessarily have to be, I don't think it has to be like anything egregious. We're not talking like, oh, you got to get like, 30% of the pot to volunteers or whatever. Sure. But like, just something.
Yeah.
Like with you, I was like, hey, are you feeding the judges? Cause I'm fucking starving. You're like, here's some money for some tamales. I'm like, sweet. It's good enough for me. Like that's because for me, and I said this on a post, I was like, my giving back is being in that judge's chair and just volunteering and helping run it. I feel like that's the best way I can give back. I could compete in these. I'll openly say this on the podcast. I had a pretty good chance taking the money last night if I wanted to compete in it, but I didn't want to compete in it. Yeah. I wanted to give back. Not throwing any shade at anybody by any means.
Well, I mean, I think we all know, teammates included, that's probably the truth about last
right.
night. That being said, that brings up a topic that me and you discussed, and that 2 meets in a row now we've had. Well, Austin came in second in February. Andrea won in February. Andrea won last night. Austin won last night. By the way, Austin only lost by like a single dots point in February.
Yeah.
Like, very, very slim margin. I think the biggest thing is we had 15 people compete, and they knew this, that most people knew that Andrea and Austin were going to win before they warmed up for squats.
Right.
I mean, to be completely honest with you. So they participated anyway, but that is such a Austin finish 50 points above the next best.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrea finished 200 dots points above the next best. I think the best thing we can do moving forward, I mean, you've discussed it, is a pre-qualifying dots number. If you exceed 400 dots points at any open powerlifting. If we can find you on open powerlifting and your dots is better than 400, you don't qualify for these events, or you do, depending on, the event. Like, hey, this is exclusively for lifters that are 400 dots points or up. This is exclusively for novice lifters, 400 dots points or down. Because when me and you kind of went back and analyzed what happened, we had 3 or 4 really good battles between
like third and
skill level lifters that are not going to be in the money, but like they were actually a really good race.
Right.
The 3 girls that participated that weren't Andrea all finished within like 10 dots points of each other, and all finished with relatively close totals. Heather being the one that totaled the most, but she weighed the most, so that brought her dot score down.
Right.
But we had that really, really good battle. We had some kids from Hartsville come up and competed directly with one of mine and Miles Corley from Jasper. Those 3 guys battled it out, and honestly, I feel like they deserve some fucking money.
Right.
I mean, they put on a show. And was it a huge total like Austin's or Andrea's? No, but
they were close.
Yeah, and they worked really, really hard. They should have, I think the best thing moving forward is to designate skill level between these money events, because I think more people from that 300 to 400 dot score range that are just getting into it deserve a shot at this money too.
Yeah.
And it's probably pretty disheartening to know
that, man, I've got to get like 80 dots points to
and
catch
then look
this
at the
guy.
computer screen and you're like, oh, this guy's opening a squat with half of my total.
Right.
you know what I mean? So that's pretty, and Austin did, those boys, they did fine. Opening the mid 300s on squats and the mid 200s on bench press. Austin opened with 605. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a conservative opener for Austin. Like, Andrea the same way. He had, she squatted 465 and benched 295. None of our girls made that number in 2 lifts. Right. Right. So, that's, the talent gap is huge. And when you have a cash meet, obviously it's going to bring some talent out because people want to win. There's not another, without going to like the American Pro
Ghost
or Ghost Clash, you're not going to win that amount of money without going to one of those 2.
And I think Ghost Clash Amateur Day is only 500.
So I think that, yeah, exactly. We paid out more last night than the Ghost Clash did. So like,
not the pro day, but the amateur day.
But I think the best thing moving forward is to designate, this is for these people. This is for these people. You register for one meet or the other. And
I think the best thing, maybe not necessarily designate like you have to have a 400 dots to compete here, but this is open and this is amateur. Amateur is 400 and below, and open is anybody can show up who wants to. Yeah. Right.
But you got to know that if Andrea shows up with a 600 dot score and you show up and the best dot score you ever had is 350,
you just have to know.
You have to know in advance that you're probably fucked.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you're probly going to have fun. Like you are putting money in Andrea's pocket. But
there again, just to prove that point, you're only ever a mislift away from being back in the money. Yeah. So it is what it is. But I do think that there's not talent wise, because hell, those kids were talented, and I think they're going to be great moving forward. They might be the best lifters in Alabama before it's all over. They were kids. They were kids. super strong for their age. But they never had, I mean, you had to know when I had, you know, three or four other men opening over 500 and 2 men opening over 6.
Yep.
That they weren't.
Right.
You know, at that point, you know, the only thing Austin had to do was hit one of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, there's definitely, in all fairness and making things equitable and making people want to continue to show up to these things, I think that there has to be some designation between open and amateur, for sure.
I think that's going to be the best goal moving forward. And I don't know what you guys plan on doing. I know you've got several coming up. I know the bench one is going to be just bench only.
Yeah, around Christmas. We don't have a date set for it yet.
And it's just the best bench wins. The high. It doesn't matter about dots. It's just the highest bench press.
A deadlift day of the deadlift will be November 1st or 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be straps optional.
Mm-hmm.
Which might bring other people out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a $50 entry fee. Rules on deadlifts are simple. We're probably they're the same for every fucking.
Just lock your hips out, lock your knees out.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, since we're doing straps, we're probably going to allow like a strongman style deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
Lift it how you can lift it. So as long as you get it locked out. Cut and dry should be simple on the judges. But that wasn't my choosing. I really wanted real deadlift rules, but and like I said, the sake of making everything equitable,
right?
Where we're like straps and do it how you want to do it was the rule that they came up with. So
bench we're
going real competition rules.
I mean,
so that's the most equitable thing on bench.
Yeah.
You can't have somebody like you that presses 470 fucking fall into somebody that's gonna bounce 475 off their chest.
Right.
That's not equitable in bench press.
Yeah.
Deadlift. I'll be honest with you. If you watch professional strongman, good one, like the best deadlifters on the planet, they don't hitch or ramp their deadlifts either. That's a real conventional deadlift. So I'll say this. I think this discrepancy between being strong in a deadlift, doing it right and doing it poorly is much, much larger than it is. You can bounce a lot of weight off your chest in a bench press. Like you can absolutely fucking cheat a bench press. So, so yeah, we'll do a WRPF rules on bench press for sure.
Cool.
Because I think that's the most equitable thing.
That's the only one that I was kind of like almost like maybe I would do that one just because like
it's only a $50 buy-in, so the payout will be less. But I mean, even still, we're talking about a $375 payday. You know,
but I could go in there and just be like, I'm just training for a 1 rep, like a PR on my bench. Like I'm just having fun.
We can absolutely fucking do shakeout and fucking bench 4 days a week and put fucking 525 on that platform by December.
I don't know about that. But it would be cool to kind of tickle 500. But we'll see.
$375 payday is nothing to scoff at either. And my assumption about both those events, because it's cheaper to buy in and because at least on deadlift rules will be less strenuous. We're probably not doing singlet and everything for either one of them, being honest.
Yeah.
Probably gym attire only. Because of those rules, I think it's going to have a lot more people
interested in it
because there's less investment to go do it. But I mean, if you're in that money, you know, they've very much paid for new sleeves, new singlet, new belt, hell, and still had money left over. Hell, you could have got a custom Pioneer belt and sleeves, wraps, and singlet, and still have some money left over.
Still want to do a sip it and rip it belt at some point.
Maybe we ought to.
It'd be fun.
It would be. Fucking Pioneer. I got to get the Gator or the Python. Yeah, all black everything.
All black everything.
Yeah,
black and white. Black with white text.
Black etched buckle. Put a little cocktail on the on the lever, and I'd probably etch Sip It and Rip It logo on the inside. I don't think I'd put it on the outside.
I'd put it on the outside.
Would you?
Oh,
I'm going etched on the inside. I got to let that Python. That's got to be the star of the show.
That's fair. I don't know. I like repping the brand.
That's fair. I like repping the brand too, but that's an awful expensive belt. I've always wanted one, but probably a little ways out from ever buying one. I'm not strong enough to deserve a Pioneer custom Pioneer belt.
Maybe one day we'll get paid. And we'll
maybe one day. Maybe I should participate in my own events and win some fucking money. Possibility I participate in bench press. There's a few people I'd like to see sign up.
Yeah.
Before I made that decision.
That's fair.
The cool thing about those events too is we're not doing dots.
Yeah.
Nothing on that. It's just
3 attempts.
3 attempts. And if the big boy's stronger than you, eat another cheeseburger.
Yep.
Skinny bitch.
Chris Bumstead. Chris Bumstead. Mm-hmm. Skinny bitch.
So he can't really say bitch that well. He's got that lisp.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've never really heard him talk.
Yeah, he's got lisp.
Well. Damn.
Chink in the armor.
Had to be somewhere.
Had to be somewhere. But I don't know. I think that's like Brandon Lilly said, grizzly bear's not concerned with who the fastest, strongest salmon is.
Yep.
So fuck them dots.
John Hack will still come out there and beat everybody though.
On bench press, he sure as shit would. Yeah.
He sure will.
Everybody not named Julius Maddox.
What's the other guy?
TD Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Extremely strong. But he's full power. That's the impressive thing about.
He still benches what, like
don't you love? Yeah, well in the sixes, 660, 670. Yeah. Don't you love how people get on Julius Maddox's ass in the comment section and be like, yeah, but you don't squat or you don't squat or deadlift. And like, man, if you don't think that guy can squat and deadlift 1,000,000 pounds, you're fucking.
He posted videos of him.
That dude probably rose 600 pounds. Right. Honest to God, like to have that big of a bench, he probably rose 6 plates.
I mean, probably so. You know, it may not be pretty, but he can move it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you don't just
bench 600 pounds.
No, I mean there's leg drive, there's lat strength, there's like I promise that guy he could go total 2,000 pounds like
tomorrow.
Untrained. Yeah, 100%. Like no doubt about it. Like, but that comment section is always like
look at Daniel Rajov. Yeah. His comment section is always garbage.
Yeah, totally. He's got some local connections.
Does he?
Yeah, he lifts with Hunter Davis.
Okay.
What does he call himself? The world's what he thinks he's the world's best bench presser at a certain height or something like that. He's got like a 415 like touch and go bench press, and he's like he trains with Daniel though.
Okay.
And Jimmy, who used to be one of my employees, knows Daniel Rajov too. He's trained with him. Jimmy's actually very, very fucking strong. Yeah, very strong. But yeah, they trained with Daniel and they got him to come do a bench clinic at TriStar in Fultondale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so local ties with Daniel Rajov. But I don't know. I mean, these cash meets, I just feel like I know they're unsanctioned. But I feel like it's right. I feel like I'm doing right by the powerlifting community, providing them an opportunity to get paid.
Yeah.
Because we don't get paid.
Yeah.
Well, I get paid because it's my profession, but like, I don't get paid for lifting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I pay dearly to lift. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The lifters hardly ever get paid, and you have to reach a certain level before you even start smelling it. So just having some, and we saw, I think, what is it? Dirty South is doing one. It's a WRPF in Tennessee.
I think so.
So they're like, that was the first one I've heard from the WRPF aside from the big money meets. So it does kind of seem like they're starting to pop up a little more to try and gather some attention, which is good.
Well, if you want the sport to grow, there's going to have to be more skin in the game than a piece of paper and a made in China medal. You know what I mean? Like,
hey man, I got a trophy somewhere over here.
I mean, you do.
SPF trophy.
Yeah, but I mean, there's going to have to be, I mean, really to grow it, I mean, it's got to be better for spectators, which I think the American Pro does.
Yeah, the American Pro and the Ghost Clash both are very good.
It's got to be better for spectators, and there's got to be more reason for people to say,
I want to get involved.
And like, you have all these great high school athletes that aren't a 1 in a million kid that's going to go play college ball, that have a good foundation of strength. Austin's a great example of that. that don't have, that have a great foundation of strength and are really, really capable that are going to be lost athletically after high school. And this is like, well, does anybody really want to, I want to, cause I want to break sub-masters records and I want to do stuff like that. I want to do it legitimately, but like, let's be completely honest. There's not a whole lot of great reason for somebody to decide to start powerlifting competitively outside of just
wanting to,
pride,
loving the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But they don't, people that are disinterested by it don't even know that they might like it and aren't going to try it because they don't want to pay $150 for that piece of paper and a medal.
Right.
Like, and then you got to probably going to pay for a hotel room, 2 or 3 days worth of food.
A coach.
A coach. You also do put yourself at risk to some extent. No more than you would in any other sport.
Right.
But there is risk involved. It hurts. Prep hurts. Yeah. Like, even when prep goes well, it hurts. Like, the diet sucks. Like,
knock on wood. I have felt great.
I'm glad. We've tried. We're trying really, really hard to manage things. But
other than the back pain.
So I'm just curious, and I guess that's my question to you guys is like, what other than a piece of paper and a cheap medal is there to motivate new people to get into powerlifting? If you're a competitive person, there's a little bit of drive in it, but there's a lot of talent out there in the gym that has no interest in powerlifting, and a lot of it is because there's no return for powerlifting.
There's no return on investment, and that's a lot of people. Like, I started really just because I fell in love with it. So I did it because I made the commitment that it was a hobby. Yeah. Right. When I first started, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be good at this. I'm just doing it because I think it's fun.
You have to have that to get to your level and the level that you're going to. You don't have to have that to enjoy it and to grow the sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't, you know what I mean? Not everybody, not all the powerlifting, 75, 80, 90% of the powerlifting field now aren't record holders. They do it because they love it or they like it and it keeps them healthy and they put a little muscle on, look a little better, and they get to say that they're the strongest person their best friend knows. You know what I mean? Like,
strongest person in the family.
You know what I mean? Like, that's fine, but to get more of that, there has to be some incentive to get more of that. And it's a lower pressure event. It's all in freedom units. Like, I feel like
you are judged to the same standard as you would be.
Because money's serious. You're like, we don't want to fuck nobody out of money.
We don't want to just be like, well, they lifted it. They picked up the weight, so we'll just give it to them. Right. Yeah. Like, we do have to hold some sort of standard.
Right. Some type of standards got to be maintained for it to be, I said this term a lot, equitable. Fair, like when you're dealing with people's money and potential, winnings. $750 isn't a terribly large amount of money anymore, but it's also enough money to make or break somebody's bills that month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it is enough to get you a little ahead. It's enough to
start a savings account.
It's enough to buy your college books. It's enough, it's enough for things like that, and you can't do it every weekend for money. You're not going to be able to do that. But like, I think it incentivizes people that ordinarily wouldn't try it to come do it.
And also, like, especially like going back to what we were talking about in amateur day, like, that's even less pressure, right? Because you're not going to go there and be like, well, there's going to be some big dog that's just going to take all my money. Yeah. So why would I even bother showing up? When you start setting those, what was the word you've been using to differentiate the amateur and the pro level?
Start setting these guidelines, these qualifiers, basically.
But just some way, it just takes away some of the pressure from like the new people. Right?
Yeah,
they don't have to stress out. Well, I know that this is the top. Like, they can go in like, well, I know right now my dot score is going to be like 350, so I'm going to be like, if I train hard, I might be able to push like 360, 370, and who knows, that might be good enough. Yeah. There might be someone who shows up and blows up 400 plus on their dots just because they've never competed before, but they're just naturally good at it.
That's what happened with Evan.
Yep.
First powerlifting meet ever, 410, which is not the greatest dot score.
Better than my first.
Pretty goddamn good for somebody that's never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid, totaled over 1,500 pounds at 242, which wasn't bad. You know what I mean? So, not at all.
Nope.
So a pretty good lick. But I mean, he also had never competed. That was fair. He could have competed against the other guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know, in all fairness, how fair it's going to be to continue to let anybody compete in any event.
Right.
I think there does need to be a designation between novice and open.
Yeah.
So,
and they do that. One of the strongman federations around here does that, where they have like an amateur strongman, where if it's your first one, you can do an amateur day or whatever.
Right.
And I think that makes sense. I just, if you've never done it before, hey, this is for the people who have never touched a powerlifting meet before. Just come on in. It's going to be simple, easy. We'll explain everything. Right. Be a good thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just another thing we've discussed is intra gym meets with some type of draft process.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a lot more complicated than, or at least seems to present as more complicated than it actually is.
Right.
And there's been some negative feedback on that for some reason, but I still think that would be fun.
Yeah. I think that's more of a coaching strategy thing.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the lifters are kind of like, I don't know, because I don't know who I'm going to end up with. What if I'm in a team with a person I don't like? So there's a lot of hesitation in that regard, I think. Mostly the lifters are just like, I don't know.
Right. It's like, meh. But I mean,
but if you have your own, I mean, and that's just the thing. Like if we're doing like a team event, like an average dots, and you're just like, well, I got a bunch of buddies that I want to lift with, then it more becomes about like a fun thing for friends to do, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we could potentially do this, and I'd like to hear from you guys. We're doing deadlift only and we're doing bench only. Taylor kind of inspired me. Should we do squat only?
Right. Squat only would be interesting. I won't compete.
Yeah, I'm not competing on that one. No way.
I'll be in the judge's chair on that one.
Not to just get beat. I'll just get beat by somebody that weighs 181.
Yeah.
This is like, I had to go home and fucking kill myself. It is what it is. But
yeah, and I feel like if we could get a little more word out there to some of the higher level guys that are around, like,
there's no marketing been done on these things.
Yeah.
We're not only making money, but we're giving a lot of money away.
Yeah. I think we could draw from like Greater Birmingham, Huntsville. We could draw from a pretty far ways away if they knew, like, hey, people are getting paid to show up here, like, and we're doing another full meet in February. I mean, I don't know if you guys have decided, since we've talked about an amateur day, if you're gonna.
I think we should. Alston's going to be in another sport. That's championship season most of the time in powerlifting.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have state championships. You're also getting closer and closer to people prepping for Ghost Clash, like big dogs prepping for stuff like that. That's what, a month out from Ghost Clash? 2 months?
I don't know when Big Dogs is.
No, I'm talking about bigger lifters. Is what I'm
oh,
okay.
Okay. Ghost Clash is April. So
February is definitely middle of prep.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody competing in April, Alston's going to be in the middle of a different sport. He's temporarily moving to weightlifting. Just to get him some athletic motion and stuff down. It might be as good a time as any to just cap it and say, hey,
we're doing an amateur day.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be a pretty good draw.
I think it definitely could be. But I think that's what needs to happen personally.
Now, and this is another thing, and this is kind of just something I thought about. You could also do like different buy-ins for the same meet, and you could do your buy-in for amateur day, your buy-in for open, and then obviously you're not mixing the pots or anything like that. Each one is separate, but I don't know that could
that's going to turn into a full day.
Yeah, that would turn into a full day, potentially.
With 15 lifters, we can run a single flight at night.
Yeah.
When you're talking about when we break 20, we're talking about 9 a.m. Bars loaded, first lifter. You know what I mean? Get in, get out. You know what I mean? So I mean, while that's what we're used to, there could be a degree of appeal lost.
Right. Coming in early.
Yeah, coming in early, stuff like that. But I'm open to it, and that's just going to be dictated by the size. To be honest with you, like I said, I think 20 is going to be about our limit for. I don't think I want a single. I don't think I want a single flight of 20 people either. I think I do 2 flights of 2, 10, 2 flights of 10, something like that. But yeah, there's definitely things that we can do better, and I think that very proud of Andrea, very deserving of the money.
Mm-hmm.
She beat everybody's ass.
Yep.
That's what we advertised it as. That's what it is. I will happily pay her every event she comes and wins. Right. No problem at all. But I do think just looking at the battles we had on down the list,
it just makes sense to have.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. I think Evan's exactly where he needs to be. I think that Evan gets a couple things together. He can compete head to head with Andrea and Austin.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't true of the other 12.
Right.
Scott Rutherford's pretty fucking strong.
Yeah.
To be completely fair to him. But how cool would it have been to see one of those kids win that money? You know what I mean?
And then they're going to tell their friends, they're like, dude, I just made $700 going to a powerlifting meet. And they're like, what do you mean? And then all of a sudden this sparks some interest. So like, I think it just does make sense to have an amateur day.
Here's a cool thing about it too. And this is in title and ego only, but I had this conversation, I actually have played on some big records, that being in terms of my music career and stuff. And I've had some very, very important jobs in terms of my music career. The difference between an amateur and a professional is a professional pays his bills with what he does. An amateur is a hobbyist.
Yep.
So I'm giving you an opportunity to pay your bills.
Right.
With powerlifting, and it's not an option you would have had any other way.
Right.
I mean, not so sure that I would call myself a professional.
Right.
But like, you're stronger than the average Gym Joe. You're stronger than 99 out of 100 people walking around. If you do this, if you just participate in a sport.
Right.
It's like, what is it? Like body weight bench press. Like you're like top 1% of the world strength wise.
Something silly.
Something
like
really,
that.
really silly, really, really honestly pretty light. Like,
and that's just because people don't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think the most interesting thing about that whole thing, and I always get mad when people are like, oh, if you bench press 315, you're like in the top percentile. I'm like, man, everybody and their mother who goes to the gym benches 315. Like, it's not.
Well, your community shrinks when you get in the gym.
Right.
Like
if you compare the amount of people who of males who bench 315 compared to the amount of males who are in the gym actively, it's like, now suddenly that's a lot different. You can go into open powerlifting and look and find. There's
some cool metrics like that though. Like, and this is all stuff that we know of. People had to participate in these things and be asked, but like only 5,000 people in the world that we know of bench 400 pounds or greater. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
I mean, yeah.
There's an element that it does, that those type of statistics do become kind of cool. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
But being 1% in the world, if you bench press 225,
right?
Everybody that's trying hard,
everyone
got that for reps, right?
Everyone has shown up to the gym, has shown some amount of dedication to the gym and to bench pressing.
I guess my point is there is a point that you actually do become an elite person,
right?
Like,
no, that's fair. And you had to say that word. You had to say elite. I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second. I
didn't say elite athlete. I said an elite person.
This is fair. This is fair.
Designation.
But you said the word, so I have to go on this tangent. Joey was sending me these metrics, and it was like a breakdown. It was like a 2012, so it was already outdated. First of all, it was like, if you bench this at this weight, then you're an elite bencher and stuff like all this stuff like that. Elite means top 10 nationwide. If you are not top 10 nationwide, you are not elite.
That's fair.
I will stand by that until the death of me, because that is the dictionary definition of elite. So I don't care what you bench press or squat or deadlift. Show me where you're top 10 nationwide and you can call yourself elite. Any other person, you're advanced.
Yeah. That's
you can call yourself masters. Like, I don't care if you say I have a master total. Like, that's great. It's not an elite total.
Yeah.
Like when you say elite, you have to be top 10 nationwide.
That's a fair metric. I don't mind that at all. I think that I think it's fair to say what I said, and that like there's a difference between
elite athlete and elite person.
Elite person.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But I had to go off on that tangent because you said
I'll tell you this though: if you shake my hand, and the first thing you ask me is how much I bench press, say we're in the gym together, or whatever, you're gonna have a very, very hard time, unless you're going to the same gym as me, finding another guy.
Right.
Fucking talk to as many people as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're gonna have a hard time finding another one.
Yeah.
Unless it's one of mine in Coleman County.
Around here,
we're probably not finding another one. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean,
as far as Coleman County goes, and obviously there's not a lot. There's plenty of people that I don't know. I can think of like 5 people that bench press over 400
right now. Yeah, they probably all go to our gym.
Well, I guess
me, you, Austin. Be fair, Zach Nixon, seen him do it. Nathan Hollis.
I was gonna say Nathan Hollis does.
Justin don't count anymore.
He used to be able to.
Cedric.
Joey. Is he in Coleman County?
He's in Morgan County, but he's one of mine. So
right,
but 6 in the county that we know of.
Yeah.
Currently, and this is within the set of the rules.
Right.
So
I
mean, it is a pretty small, but here we are in a hit county.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, 150, 180,000, less than 200,000 people in the county, I think.
Probably so.
And we named 6.
Right.
Of the 5,000 in the world, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
They can do that. So
if we go to Open Powerlifting and scroll down, we could see.
Yeah. Probably pretty easily, but
and that's obviously not counting gym bros that have hit it before, but like, and there are some cool things about it. There are some cool metrics that I looked at one of them because I was just curious. And if I hit, I think it's if I hit 470 on bench press, I'll be like in the top 3 or 350 242s in the world as far as bench press. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. It's not elite, but it's kind of cool.
Right.
Like I would feel some amount of pride saying,
I'll be curious too though, how few pounds is separating the top 100 from the rest of that top, say 5?
Not many.
We're probably talking about
between, I think
a dozen pounds separating.
The top 2 were 630 and 585. And then there's some 530s and down, I believe.
Yeah.
But I remember the top 2 was 630 and 585.
So you're talking about minimum 500 pound bench press to break top 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and by your standard, you're probably talking about another 25 or 30 pounds to hit top 10.
Yeah. So it will take, mid 500s for me to say, hey, I'm an elite bench presser.
Yeah.
Until then, I will always say I am good at bench press. I will never say I am great, elite until I hit some of these benchmarks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that there's that's accountability though. Mm-hmm. That's some respect for yourself and respect for what you do and respect for what your peers are doing. Mm-hmm. That the average gym bro doesn't have.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's. I also think that I'm rereading a book right now on 75 Hard called Relentless by Tim Grover. I'm actually going to give it to you to read when I get done. And most things are because Tim Grover was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's personal trainer. Mm-hmm. So most of his analogies are in the realm of basketball, professional sports in general.
Right.
He didn't just train basketball players, but mostly what he did was basketball players, right? He designates that there's 3 different types of athlete. There's a cleaner being the top, a closer, and a cooler. So they're like this tiered system. Coolers are people that are going to do enough. They'll do their job basically within the framework of what they've been given and little to nothing else. Mm-hmm. They're basically going to do what they're told, and that's it. Closer is somebody that's occasionally going to rise to the occasion, upset somebody, fuck somebody up, have the best game of their life from time to time. And then a cleaner is somebody who doesn't care if he's had the best game of his life. He always wants
more.
The next thing. Yeah. I think the attitude that I see in you, and I think that I'm beginning to see in Austin, is that it no longer matters what you've done or what your peers are doing. And it doesn't matter what outside noise looks like. You're starting to transcend into an attitude of what Tim Grover would call a cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be so good at what you do personally that what somebody else does doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like, everybody's chasing you. You're not chasing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you're better prepared, everything that you can control has been controlled to the point that when y'all show up, you start to control the environment that you're in, just your presence. I think that you are starting to do that, at least on a local level.
Yeah.
And Austin has the ability to start to do that. And I think that mindset, I mean, it transcends basketball and what Tim Grover's talking about. It really filters into the rest of life. But like to have a mindset of an idea of what elite really is and being honest about what elite really is means that you're on the path to that.
Right.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
And I feel like a lot of that did come from my time with Joe and just kind of learning from him.
Yeah.
There was a lot of time. I mean, before that, you know, there were some times where I feel like I did kind of get a little egotistical about the sport, where I was like, man, I'm so much better than these people around me. Like I did have that mentality for a little while. The more I kind of like got with Joe, saw more of like the pro level stuff, and kind of even like the pro women are really kind of like what put me in place, right? Because there are women out there squatting more than me and deadlifting more than me.
Quite a few now.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like, you know, that really puts things into perspective. Like, how good really are you?
Yeah.
And like looking at their dot scores, just like
to be fair, women have dot scores that men will, even John won't touch.
711, I think, is Christy Hawkins' best dot score.
Yeah.
I don't know that a man will ever touch that. If somebody does,
it would have to be a John Hack or Jawan, somebody like that.
Not Johnny Kaufman. What's that guy's name? Colton Limit Breaker. I forget his last name. He is a really impressive dude. Like, honest to God, I've never he's young. He's like 26 or something, and he is insanely strong. 242, so he's a little on the heavier side, so he will have to either do something incredibly impressive or cut some weight. But dude's incredibly talented, so there's the ability, I think, is out there. I don't know when. I don't know. And it would probably take a very lightweight lifter, truthfully, lifting something ungodly.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking like, I don't know. I don't even want to put it in the calculator. I'm just going to guess like 21 or 22 from like a 181, like something insane.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's closest. Well, he's not a 181 anymore. He moved up to 198, but the closest to that would have been Jawan.
Jawan.
Yeah. For that weight class.
Yeah.
For the weight class.
I think I know he's hit 2,000 at 181. Right.
Yeah, but you know, that's another 100 pounds.
Another 100, 200
when you're
pounds.
The best of the best is not easy to come by.
And that's why a lot of these lifters, John Hack didn't make his weight last time. Joe, he said if he comes back, it's going to be a 242. I think he's coming back too, which is exciting. You know, I think Juwan is competing at 205 at the next one that he's doing.
Yeah, because he's moving over to USAPL, right?
For a meet or two. I don't think he's staying. He's going to do the American Pro when it comes back by. But so he's doing like a 205 or some oddball weight class that he's in. So all these lifters who are really, really good at lightweight are just having to move up weight classes because they're getting so strong and so heavy and so dense.
Yeah.
I forgot what we were talking about.
We were just talking about understanding the designation of elite and what it actually means, and being able to, you gave a good example of how you kind of ignore the bullshit. All this talk we talk about being elite because you bench 315 or 405 really isn't what
it means to be elite.
Yeah, absolutely. And I made a post not too long ago. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but I made a post that it does bother me, and I'm the furthest from being elite. And I'm not even sure I have the aspirations to be elite. I want to be involved in powerlifting. I want to be better at it. I want to grow in the sport, and I want the sport to grow. I think that's more important to me than my own total. But I made the point that it kind of drives me crazy when people that aren't in the sport tell me how great I'm doing and how strong I am, especially after I've missed something
that was important
to me, but also was expected. Like I trained for this. I have no business.
Right.
If it is in my plan, if I have programmed myself 385 for a set of 3 on bench press, I have trained weeks for that 385 by 3, and it is not negotiable. It is expected, and I'm supposed to hit that number. If I fall short of that number, I don't want to be told I'm still strong, I'm still this, I'm still that, I'm still doing great, or anything like that. I want to be told, you suck. This is this is the stuff you need to do to fix this. So that the next time you hit 385 for set of 3, it's an RPE 7, and we can start shifting our focus to 405 for set of 3. Like that's what I want. Like, and it's not a shot at people that don't understand what I'm doing or anything like that, but the standard you hold for yourself is not necessarily the standard everybody else has for you. And if you have any fucking nuts about you whatsoever, the standard you have for yourself should be much, much fucking higher than expectations from other people.
Right.
I have long past met and exceeded expectations other people had for me. To have to deal with the idea that I don't want an attaboy at that point. Like there's that's not the mindset I want to have either. Like I'm at a point in my life I don't really identify. And listen, I've fucked up financially. I've fucked up my career in some ways recently that it's going to take me a while to get over. In terms of the store shutting down and some financial decisions and stuff like that. But the standard I have for myself is much, much higher than most people have for themselves, and it's much, much higher than they have for me, for sure. And people can say, I'm not a failure, I'm not this, I'm not that, but when my expectations aren't met, I'm just that.
Right.
And it's really, really important, like I said, if you have any nuts about you whatsoever, to have some type of internal standard that is much, much higher than what people expect from you. I think that's what it requires to be great at anything. And I think that you're there. I think Austin's getting there. I think several people on my team I think Mason's there, to be completely honest with you. He may be further behind in terms of total, but I think his mindset is correct. To move forward.
Shout out to Mason, because he's just a cool guy.
Yeah,
he's
he is.
A good dude.
He's a really good dude. But I think that shift in mindset is necessary for anything you do. Like, also, we got kids now. Like, anything we do has to be worth it and has to be seen through. It has to be, for better or worse. Even if we fucking fall flat on our face, we gotta carry it to the end. So, because we're setting an example now. So, I don't know. That ended up being a very, very strange tangent.
We went on a couple, but typically when we don't have these really thought out topics, we kind of just
do. Yeah, but should really examine what elite means to you.
Does elite mean top 10 in your county? Are you the top 10 in the 256?
Are you, I guess if you're in CrossFit, are you top 150,000 in the world? Because everybody posts that in there with,
excuse me.
When they do the open, they're like, oh, I moved from 151,000th and 2 to 141,000th and 2 in the CrossFit Open this year.
Hell yeah.
Moving on up in the world, baby.
I mean,
improvements, better is better. So I'm not really knocking that too much, but I mean,
but also
you're not really an elite company.
Even with me, I don't know exactly where I'm at. I think I'm in the top 10,000 somewhere of 242s all time. I don't give a fuck. When I go from top 10,000 to top 9,000, top 8,000, I don't give a fuck. That don't matter. When something important, something big, if I'm in the top 1,000 all time, hey, that's something. That's something.
Top 100 means you're taking people's fucking money every
Top 100 is cool.
Top 100 is cool.
Top 100's all right, I'm getting somewhere. Top 50, hey now. Top 25, holy shit, I'm somebody. Top 10, I'm elite.
Yeah, you're elite. That is what it is. I mean, I think that, and there's no shot at CrossFitters on that, but I think that like you should be, for those of us who are chasing, I'm doing it in the coach's realm, not in the athlete's realm. For those of us that are chasing actually elite, like Nathan was talking about, you need to adjust your standard.
Yeah. And I don't know that I'll ever be elite. I don't, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it, I mean, the journey is the most important part. I don't think it matters.
Right.
I think the mindset does. And I can tell you for sure that if you don't have the mindset, you'll never know.
Be it.
Yeah. You'll never see, anything
and
like you need to.
Some people may say you have to have the mentality that you want to be there, right? You have to want it. You have to have the drive. I do think that, there's a certain level of, and Joe may hear this and punch me in the face, but there is some level of realism you have to have, some amount of expectations you have to set for yourself. Sure. But I think he was talking to me or made a post or something. I remember something about, if you want to be the best squatter in the world, you have to mentally say, I'm going to be the best squatter in the world. And some people may be like, fuck you, you're never going to do that. You have to hold that to yourself to get there. And to some extent, yeah, you probably do have to want it so bad that it becomes part of your identity. I want to be the best squatter in the world. Maybe there's something to that, but I do think you can say that all you want.
Well, I think it comes down to goal setting, right?
Right.
Like if you're top 10,000 now, what's it going to take for me and you to move from top 10,000 to top 5?
Right.
Okay. When we get top 5,000, what's the next move? Top 1,000?
Right.
Sure. Because like you said, 5 to 3, that doesn't fucking make a difference. Right. You know what I mean? Like when you go from 10 to 5, you've cut your competition in half.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to 2,500, you've done it again. You know what I mean? And then if you go to 1,250, you're still outside the top 1,000.
Yeah.
Like at that point,
are you really going to say I'm top 1,250?
No, who fucking says top 1,250 anyway?
Nobody.
When have you ever heard that? You know what I mean? You've never heard that, right? So I think it's responsible to think about goal setting, even if you have this elite mindset, even if you think you're going to be the best in the world. I don't know. It's just managing expectations is important too. It's the same. That's the same mentality of if you're a brand new powerlifter and your gym total's 1,200, you can't come to me as your coach and say, my first powerlifting meet, I want to total 1,500. How many years do you want to train for this powerlifting?
Right.
We can do it in 2. I mean, but if you're wanting to compete this year, maybe we need to worry about 1,300.
Right.
You know what I mean? Can we knock down 13? Knock down 13. Now we're a lot closer to 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it looks like, maybe you're Mr. Made lift away from 14 or 15, but have some, you know what I mean?
Right.
Have some understanding about what the training in the sport looks like. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We should talk more about mindset. I'm going to finish reading this book and I'm going to pass it along to you. And I really think you should read it too. Cool. It's my second time through it, and every time I've read it, I've found myself. Both times I've read it, I found myself in a place where I feel like I needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really good. The book is Relentless by Tim Grover. Y'all should check it out. Super, super good. Our sponsor, Richard Neese of Scooters Coffee in Coleman and Decatur, actually is the person responsible for giving me that book. He was very, very successful in real estate before he moved on to other business adventures. Very, very wise person. But that book will fundamentally change you. Like I said, if you have any nuts about you at all, and I'm not going to call myself a cleaner, like his designation is. I think that you can work to get toward that. But if you have any nuts about you at all, it will fucking change the way you look at the world 100%. So that's all I got, I think. You ready to move on to dad jokes?
I got 3 things real quick for new listeners. Well, it's not really 3 things, but if we have any new listeners or people who haven't listened to everything, we do have an episode on goal setting.
Yep.
We do have an episode on managing expectations. So you can go back and listen to those if any one of those topics kind of tickled your ear. We've talked about those before. I feel like there was a third one, but I can't remember. regardless, we have episodes out there covering a lot of the topics that we brushed on. So if you want something more in depth, you can go to our Spotify or YouTube, find them. They will be there. You can listen to them.
Well, this episode breaks a 2-week break. It's our first episode back in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the third week. We've missed 2 episodes in a row. We will miss next week because I'll be out of town on vacation.
Yep.
So this will be your last episode for a little while. Make sure you share the show.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a hoe.
Don't be a hoe and share the show.
Thanks, Andy Frisella. Don't sue us.
Don't sue us, please. You can sue us, but we don't have any money, so I don't know what you want. Like, you want some Scooter's coffee? We might be able to hook you up.
I can sweet talk Richard and give me a gift card to help prevent said lawsuit.
All right, pulling up some dad jokes. My pet frog broke his leg this morning.
Ugh.
He's very unhappy.
Damn it. One of those.
This morning I saw a guy dragging a mollusk behind him on a leash. Must be hard to walk with a pulled muscle.
Damn it.
If I win the lottery, no one around me will be broke, and I truly mean that, because I'll be moving to a wealthy neighborhood. Not that one.
Not that one, huh?
What do you call a ship made only for sailors masturbating?
I don't know.
A tugboat. I was. This one's so dumb. I was on a plane, and the air hostess came up to me and said, "Would you care for an orange juice?" And I replied, "If it needed me to." So dumb. You know why David Hasselhoff started going just by the Hoff?
Wow.
It was 100% less hassle.
My wife blocked me on Facebook because I post too many bird puns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, two can play at that
game. Sometimes I wake up grumpy. Other times I let her sleep in.
I believe you've probably experienced that before.
No, I usually sleep later than she does.
Okay.
I usually sleep later than she does. Night shift, all that stuff.
Well, shit.
You're a solid 9 when you get dressed up, but if you piss your pants, you're an 8. I've been saving them for like 2 weeks, so tell me when to stop.
Go ahead and give us a couple more. We need the content.
What are 2 things you can never eat for breakfast?
What?
Lunch and dinner.
Fair.
People all the time say I had breakfast for lunch, breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, for whatever reason, breakfast seems to be interchangeable, but the other two aren't.
Right. I don't know. Like, I've never woken up in the morning, but I just want to have like a grilled cheese sandwich. Right.
Grilled cheese in the morning is not too weird, especially if you're going to do like the other breakfast things with it. Bacon and eggs or something.
You know sure, if you're doing that, but
then
just
it's just toast with some cheese on it.
Just a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm talking like, I'm just going to have a
I remember working when I was in college, working at a fast food restaurant, and like night shift people coming through, like when we opened at like 6 a.m. and ordering like a fucking cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
Burger King did that for a while. They had so many requests for burgers in the morning. They're like, yeah, we'll do burgers for breakfast. And they just served like a limited, it was like cheeseburgers, Whopper Juniors, and Whoppers.
This particular institution I worked for has an open menu all the time. So you'd get weird, breakfast sandwiches at 2:00 and, cheeseburgers at 6 a.m.
Yep.
So
some people just want a cheeseburger in the morning. I don't know, man.
I've ate a lot of cold Chinese food and leftover pizza in the morning.
That's fair. Leftover pizza I could eat in the morning. I could eat that for breakfast. Throw it in the air fryer, reheat it. Just the way to go.
Air fryer is probably a good way to reheat pizza.
That's why I always do it now. Just throw it in the air fryer.
Keep that crust crunchy.
Yep.
So the soggy microwave crust sucks, don't it?
Oh, it's fucking
You're
worst.
a thin crust. Are you a thin crust guy like I am?
I'll eat both.
I like thin crust a lot, and it always gets soggy in the microwave.
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of the thin crust is like
crunch.
cracker crunch. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Is that it on dad jokes? He's not sure.
I got one last one.
Let's go. It better be a doozy.
I'm sorry that I haven't matured past the point of making everything into a sexual innuendo. It's just really hard. That's it.
Fuck.
That's it. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, you can find us at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skedios, at Sip It and Rip It on Instagram. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on YouTube, rate us 5 stars, like, dislike, leave comments, all that good stuff.
You can find us in person at the garage.
At the garage.
Me on Mondays.
Yep.
Zach
on
basically
Mondays,
every
day of my life. Every single day, even on my rest days. I don't have any rest days right now. But yeah, all the time. You can find us at the garage.
Buy Scooters Coffee.
Buy Scooters Coffee. We thank them very, very much. Thank Richard very, very much. It's awesome. Truly, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. We're not just saying that.
No, we're not just saying that. And I know everybody that has, something on the show says it's,
Oh yeah.
they're always
there are some people that you can tell like they genuinely care about the products. Like they're very picky about their sponsors, and some of them will take anything. They'll just be like, whoever will pay us, we don't care.
Listen, I'll be full disclosure. I really like my Starbucks crew here in Coleman on the south end of town. Mm-hmm. We got 2 now. They're really awesome people. But I've looked for a long time to have a reason to not have to go to Starbucks, mm-hmm. and Scooters has presented that as another option.
I will say,
and
this
I appreciate
too.
it very much.
I went to Scooters before I even knew that we were getting a sponsor by them. They're doing it right now. Their fall stuff. Their pumpkin. I think it's like a pumpkin donut, or it's not a donut. It's like a pumpkin cake or something. They had a bunch of pumpkin stuff for their fall season. All of it's delicious. I remember going there, pumpkin spice latte. Wonderful.
I am part of the anti-pumpkin spice clan, and will proudly sport the apple spice anywhere that sells it.
Apple spice is good too.
It is a superior fall flavor.
I don't know about that personally, but we can agree to disagree.
Who the hell said I'm going to start putting pumpkin, a giant fucking squash, in drinks and dessert things?
I don't know, but I'm glad they did.
It's like fucking carrot. If you want carrot cake, just eat red velvet, man. We all know you're there for the cream cheese icing.
I mean, fair.
It ain't the carrot.
It's definitely not the carrot.
it's not the carrot. Let's be real. Let's manage
just spice cake with cream cheese icing.
We don't have to have the We don't have to have the carrots. We don't.
That's not pumpkin. That's carrots.
Yeah, but I mean, same thing. It's the same fucking. Like, it's a squash. Why is it in my dessert? If I wanted vegetables, I would have had vegetables. Like, I don't want it there. Like, I feel the same way about rhubarb. People, strawberry rhubarb pie. Rhubarb's fucking red celery. That's what rhubarb is. And they try to pass it off as a dessert. Like, it's not a dessert.
Celery is trash. I will tell you that. I hate celery.
I like celery in things. I mean,
I don't like celery.
It's part of the Holy Trinity. I mean, it's necessary for some things. You don't know Cajun food?
I don't eat a lot of Cajun
onions, peppers, and celery, man. It's like...
I don't do onions either. Peppers I'm good with. Onions and celery can go die.
It is what it is. But I can tell you wholeheartedly that a type of celery does not belong with my strawberries in my pie. Like, do not sell me on rhubarb. I don't even like saying it. It's awkward to say. It's worse it's worse than celery. Because it's harder to say, and I'm a hick, and I have a hard time pronouncing things correctly, and it sucks. I don't want celery in my fucking strawberry. That's all there is to it. I mean, I think this is. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But fuck, I don't want. Okay.
Are we going on another tangent?
Yeah,
before
a
we
little
end
bit.
It? Okay.
Okay.
Right.
You know what's sneaky good, and I'm mad about it. Like I actually kind of. It's a Southern staple, so other people. I don't know. Zach's from what? Or Oklahoma or Texas, I think.
Who?
Zach Rodriguez, who listens to the show. Oklahoma or Texas.
I don't remember where he's from.
Maybe from Oklahoma and lives in Texas. I don't remember. That's Southern enough. A big Southern staple at Christmas time is potato candy.
I've never heard of potato
Never
candy.
had. Okay, so it's fucking like white mashed potato and confectioner sugar, and it makes this fucking chunky fucking block of potato sugar, and they put peanut butter in the middle of it, and they roll it up like a pinwheel, and they chop it. I'm mad that it's actually kind of good.
That sounds disgusting.
Like, I'm mad that it's kind of good, to be completely honest. It is kind of good. And I'm pissed off about it because, like, it just doesn't.
That sounds terrible.
I mean, it looks like dried fucking crusty KFC mashed potatoes with peanut butter in the middle of it. And it's, I promise you, if you didn't know it has potatoes in it, you wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. Like, it would just be like, hey, this candy's pretty good. But, like, it does kind of infuriate me that this Christmas candy Southern staple has potato in it.
That's nuts.
If I wanted fucking potatoes, I would have potatoes. I want Christmas candy. I don't want fucking potatoes. You know what I mean? Like,
the only thing I really feel like is Christmas candy is like the peanuts and the white chocolate or whatever, like amalgamation. You just like scoop it and throw it.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's okay. And then you like chocolate covered pretzels.
Yeah.
Chocolate covered Oreos.
Yeah.
Martha Washington candy. Are you familiar?
I don't know the name.
It's basically like homemade almond joy.
Okay, yeah.
Fucking good. Most of the time it's like a patty and it's like submerged in chocolate like that too, and then it dries and it's, Buckeyes, peanut butter balls as we call them in the South. But yeah, I mean, fucking don't put fucking vegetables in
my candy.
Don't do it. Stop putting it in my latte. Stop putting it in my cake. Keep it out of my candy. This is not a health conscious conversation.
It's not. This is not something you should be basing your diet off of. If you want to eat if it's the only way maybe it's the only way they can get their vegetables in.
Oh, the carrot cake, Nathan? You're talking about a single carrot in the whole fucking cake. Like, that's another pointless fucking thing about it. Like, right? Like, it's not like it's not necessary for the structure or the
flavor.
Or the
it
flavor
literally
of
just
the cake.
adds a crunchy. It's kind of a gross texture, to be honest with you.
In the middle of a cake, it is. Like, if I wanted it to be crunchy, I'd put nuts on top or something. Mm-hmm. Like, don't fucking put
coconut.
Coconut's fine.
I'm saying like I could
coconut.
Do coconut.
Yeah, coconut. Like, some type of pecans, walnuts, peanuts in the right circle. Those are all fine. But like
peanuts on a cake, I don't know. Just peanuts.
I don't think I've ever seen it on a cake. A lot of pies though.
Sure.
Yeah, but like it's dessert friendly. Peanuts are dessert friendly. Right. Like, that's the point.
Peanut butter.
But like
carrots
and pumpkin.
I can get by. I like pumpkin.
Y'all are fucking pretending. That's fucking.
No, man. Pumpkin spice lattes are
sweet potatoes are okay. At least sweet's in the fucking name. Like a sweet potato pie, and here in the South is much, much better in my opinion than pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Period. Sweet potato pie is a superior pie.
You'll hate me, but I think they're interchangeable.
It's the same flavor without the fucking vegetable. Like sweet potato pie, it's fine. Not fucking. I don't want pumpkin pie. Pumpkin's got that gross, like fucking squash-like texture because it's a squash. I get it out of here. Don't want it. It fucking belongs in. Pumpkin belongs in dog food, and that's like that's
going pretty hard, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Just dog food.
Kiss my ass on a pumpkin.
Listen, my dogs love their dog food, so and that
it is what
they're excited to eat it every day.
It's a good source of fiber for them, apparently. That's what you do for your dog.
Hey, you know what? We've been talking for a long time about how we need more fiber in our diets. Maybe you just need to add some pumpkin.
Pumpkin ain't gonna be the play. That ain't gonna be the play. Fuck that.
Be over there eating your Fiber One bars.
Something. It ain't gonna be pumpkin. All right, I got a jet. That's the show. We already signed off. Bye, y'all.